Hey, in this share for Behind the Waves, I really wanted to dive into the baby loss comfort experience, and I know why I created it, but I had always said that it was to hold women who have gone through baby loss. And yeah, um, the way that I had designed it and really made sure that regardless of when the loss happened, you could come back to it and feel into any area that you feel like is applicable to the experience that you're living in that moment. I wasn't sure if my vision for the baby loss comfort experience was actually going to be a true reflection of helping support and guide women through their losses and their emotions and being able to create that space to allow them to just exist without feeling like they need to push how they're feeling down so they don't have a way to not only be honest with themselves but honest with their body and just being aware of like, this is how I'm feeling and this is why, and being able to actually say it out loud or be able to express it in a way that feels that in a way that feels good for them. So today, nearly 10 years to the day that I lost my little girl, I wanted to test it out because, yeah, I've gone through the Serenity baby loss comfort experience a number of times and it helped. But first of all, I wasn't in a position to where I felt like anyone would care about how it was helping me because I had been very focused on talking about how, like any of my offers, but this one specifically, how I can help you and how it can support you through this alongside me guiding you and having that spiritual element to it, and then having me as the human guide that kind of like connects both elements together to help you process your emotions. And I got the little nudge to not only go through it again and feel into the different elements as certain parts come up for me as I'm going through this and experiencing this in real time as I'm recording this. I didn't necessarily want to go through this in silence and then in a couple of months say, oh, back in December, I did this and sort of like try to remember how I was feeling back then, even though I didn't record or capture the emotions that were coming up as they were coming up. So trying to remember and potentially filtering parts of my story and parts of my emotions, because I felt like nobody would care if I spoke up about my experience because of the stigma that exists around talking about baby loss, um, having issues with conceiving, and actually being like, okay, after going through loss and experiencing loss, there are days where I'm not happy. There are days where I'm not always smiling, but feeling too exhausted and drained to actually consistently say that. Like, I really want to be able to change that conversation. And I also want to be a part of the conversation, because I've come to realize that I can't be someone who's saying like I want to change things if I'm not talking about it myself and not talking about it in an embodied way, because I really want to model and show you that Washaya is a safe space for you to express how you're feeling about your baby loss, the process of feeling ready to open the portal to motherhood, or continue to open it in a more conscious and intentional way. But if you haven't necessarily seen it being done in a way that looks different to what you've tried before, you're not going to know like if it feels right, or if you would necessarily want to go down that path. And I have always said, with everything I do, I go first, I pave the way, and then say, hey, come with me. It's okay. I've been through this, I've tried this out, and I'm clearing the way so that you have a path that is different from everything that is out there. So trust me, I will walk with you through this. And today I felt like it was a good time for me to like really go back into the Serenity Baby Loss comfort experience, because my mind and my body and my soul felt ready to just be in that energy and be in that space. I did think that yesterday might have been the day that I wanted to do it, but I was really connecting with my body and asking, like, okay, what feels safe for me to do today? And connecting with my intuition and my spirit baby was one of the things that I did to see if yesterday was the right day for me to go into this energy. And the answer and the sensation was that I needed to spend a little bit more time just slowing down and prioritizing rest, hydration, and just being still so that I could actually breathe into and welcome the experience of going back into the Serenity Baby Loss Comfort experience. And this time around, like, I felt like, okay, how do I want to experience it this time? And again, I dropped into my body and I just said, okay, we are here. This is my intention. I would like to at least just have a little look around. But what feels safe for my body and my mind to just observe at the moment? So I wasn't trying to say that I was going to do anything. I just wanted to look and see how my body and my mind responded. Because if I felt too reactionary, I might have felt like trying to dive into something too early would have been me not honoring my emotions, and I was trying to fix or trying to change something, because under all of those layers, I still believed that how I was feeling was something that wasn't accepted by society. And deep down, I was then thinking like, oh my gosh, do I not accept myself for how I am just existing and expressing my feelings and kind of working through them in a way that felt safe, or as safe as I'm able to uh, allow myself to be. So I decided to start with the Riding the Waves of Grief ebook that all of the women who say yes to this experience will have access to. And I scanned the initial page because I just wanted to see where my body felt like it was at in terms of the different waves of grief. So these waves are very important, and it's not to say that you will always need to begin, or you have to begin at the beginning and the start, like wave one. But for me and my experience and how I'm feeling around it today, I actually just had my body just say yes. The beginning is the part where you should start. And I did. So I started with the denial wave. And what I noticed was how my experience of actually perceiving denial has changed over time. And where I feel like the closer to it that I was, as in like the actual time frame from the moment that it happened, denial back then was, it's not happening, it can't happen, that I'm not experiencing what I think is happening and what was actually happening. So that thought process was me experiencing the wave of denial very, very differently. And I also feel like from that point up until like maybe a year ago, the way that I acknowledged or didn't acknowledge the denial part in full, and so I'd sort of flip-flopped between a bunch of the other waves, and I talk about completing the loop, and it's usually like the stress loop or the thought loop. I try to close it up and complete it, but I looked at where I was sort of like yeah, as of a year ago, and because I was using alcohol and just dissociation to be in a numbed out state, I blocked it out, which was something that was a part of my experience, but I also struggled with therapy because it meant that I had to slow down and I had to really connect with myself. And yeah, like now I know that those adaptations to therapy have just been absolutely incredible. So yeah, it's just been such a year where the denial portion has definitely changed. And like the therapy that I've been receiving, like it's not specific to baby loss, and it's just the like all the other bits in life that have been a struggle for me and things that I've had to process have just made it so that I have the time and the energy for my for my business. And this time around, the denial has been more to the sound of, oh my gosh, we can't be 10 years in already. That went so quick. Like so quick. Like it can't have been 10 years already. But it has. And again, it's how am I still here? And then kind of like deeper, why am I still here? And I know why I'm still here, but there have just been so many times where my thought process has been thinking like, there have been so many things in the last 10 years that have happened, and to where, because of how it's impacted me, I wouldn't have been surprised if that would have been where my story and everything just ended at that point. But I am here and I'm sharing this so the woman who feels like life doesn't look like it's going to improve or get better, or to the point where she can see a way forward, I'm here as proof that it does. And the progress does take a little while to be seen, but there is a moment where 2 or 3 things will click all at once, and then that gives you a little glimpse of hope where you can see things starting to get better. You don't need to have the whole picture, but you can just see that tiny little break in the storm. The sun's peeking through, and on some days it rains, but it's okay. And today's practice with denial is where I've just been able to meditate and voice how I'm feeling about denial. And I have just been allowing myself to, again, not change anything. I'm not trying to fix it. I'm literally just witnessing what is happening and getting it out of my body. And along with each wave, there are serenity practices. And what these practices do is they help you shift, move, and express and process the core wave. So, for instance, today I went in with the intention to see what my body wanted to focus on in terms of the serenity healing process in relation to denial. And before I had even looked and refreshed my memory on the practices that I had chosen, because at the time that I was creating this, I was thinking, what would have helped me? Because again, Washaya is the result of me creating a bunch of resources that I wished I had during my experience and experiences thereafter. So I thought about each and every one of those practices, and I was like, yeah, that would have been amazing to have had access to this, or somebody sharing this with me to help me at least have an outlet for how I was feeling, even if I didn't have the words right now, sorry, even if I didn't have the words yet. So I chose water, or my body and spirit baby chose water for today's denial embodiment practice. And it's not to anchor in the emotion of denial, it's to give my body a path for it to be released, dissolved, and then it anchors me in the here and now rather than me wanting to focus too much on the past and sort of like ruminating and spiraling over the actual event and thinking, oh my gosh, it was my fault. Oh my goodness, I am not a good person because that experience happened. And then what the water practice has helped me do is I'm also not fixating on and anxiety driven, focusing on the future and kind of thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not deserving of motherhood in that way to where I'm able to carry a baby full term healthily. Like, there are lots of layers to this, and I feel like there are so many thoughts that can come up. Like, we have lots of thoughts anyway, but instead of me worrying about what happened or what might happen or my thoughts about how I would like my life to pan out kind of moving forward, all of those things are not in the here and now. So I am not worrying about those things. I'm just enjoying the water. So like, I bring the senses into it. I bring the sensory experience into a situation and an experience that is coming up where the emotion might feel a little bit uncomfortable. And I have been a lot more withdrawn. Yeah, I've noticed that I've been very quiet. I haven't felt as outgoing and talkative as I would be in other seasons of my life. And that is just because December for me has always been one of those months where I'm more introspective and I really do have a lot more conversations where they're like inner focused, and I do the thing of planning for the next year, setting intentions, and this year already has just been so amazing just because of what I've achieved with my business, what I've achieved personally, after feeling like there's so many things that never felt like they were moving forward. It all just went click, 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 click. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's see how moving forward more things begin to click. And because these foundational pieces are starting to come in, I am very excited for what is unfolding as we speak. And this is just one of the elements in the denial wave. But that's what felt true for me today. And I do feel more supported because the water is always something that supports me and helps melt away any stress, any tension, any moments where I feel like I can't do this, like I can't work for myself. So all of these elements that bubble up to the surface melt away and then they go down the drain once I'm done. And it's nice to actually have a visual representation of how I think and feel and how I moving through this, and being able to show up in a way that is not always sparkling, but it's real. It's real. It's what's going on for me at the moment. And I feel like I'm turning a corner with all of this. I really feel like I'm turning a massive corner, not only with healing holistically, but just the way that my life is kind of piecing together. I'm excited now because I had a time period where when somebody said, what would you like to do within the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I couldn't see past 27. And it's not that I didn't have aspirations. It was almost as if my brain had hit a wall and there was just a black void at 27, like on my 27th birthday. Like when I thought about it, it just it got very murky and very foggy. And then age 27, there was just like a wall and a door with a lock. It was like no entry, access denied, and I couldn't visualize past that age and past that date. So the fog has well and truly lifted now, and I'm starting to see the details and the beauty of what is coming, because I have so much planned, and I'm also open to the things that just want to surprise me. Yeah. This is what healing looks like. And this is how I want to really connect with my community. And this episode is like really disjointed because I've been interrupted and you might hear voices in the background of this last little bit. But yeah, I am so glad that you stuck with me, and I'm definitely going to be talking more about the different aspects of like what's been happening and how I'm moving through probably one of the hardest death anniversaries of my entire life. So, yeah. um, Thank you ever so much for spending time with me today. And until next time, I will see you soon.